Hi, you're listening to
The Four Takeaway Podcast,
where we talk about anything and everything on the menu, from movies, music, gossip, news, etc., through the eyes of four rather weird individuals. I'm Heiko,
I'm Hanna.
I'm Hammad.
I'm Yas.
and in this episode, Yas and Hanna are going to talk about two horror/thriller movies, dissect them, and present connections to real life, while Heiko and Hammad try their best not to be too spooked.
Ooh, spoopy.
Would you like that for dining?
Or for takeaway.
For takeaway.
Orders up.
So, how y'all doing?
We're okay.
Cool.
No, shouldn't there be
It's
so
sorry,
much
it's the
more
last 10 days
enthusiasm
of
now?
Ramadan.
Yeah.
Why? Why
This
do you
this
say
is
that?
the sixth, right? Sixth?
It's the
Yes.
sixth episode
Something
and the
like that.
first one after our spectacular YouTube debut, right? Or is it already the second one?
It's the second one.
second one.
after a YouTube debut.
That's even better. Things are rolling. Things are taking off. And you're just sitting there
Yeah.
saying, yeah, we're all right. What's bothering you people? Tell me. You can tell me.
Getting famous.
No, it's not more of a bother. It's just we're excited because it's the last 10 days of Ramadan.
Ooh.
It is?
Ramadan.
Hold up.
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah, it's the 21st
Yeah.
of Ramadan now.
Uh-huh.
And time went by so fast. I feel like.
May? No. May went by so quick. Like, it's going so quick. Can you
It's
believe it's the
barely half of
13th
May
of
yet.
May? No, but do you remember when May 1 happened?
Do you
It was like
remember?
2 minutes ago. How about you, Heiko? You didn't say anything.
Because life is just happening right now. You know, it's in the middle of the semester. I'm reading, I'm writing, just
Listening to jazz.
listening to podcasts, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm good.
The usual then, huh?
The usual.
Mm.
Damn.
Oh, but did you guys hear that that ozone layer hole in the Arctic? Was it Arctic ozone?
Antarctic.
It's fine.
I think.
I'm sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's now closed.
Oh, they're not available anymore?
They even closed
Oh
that.
my god.
Quarantine is
They're
just
closing
closing
everything for
down. Oh my
lockdown.
god.
Oh my goodness! You should
It's too
rejoice at this
much.
fact.
Yeah,
Stop
no.
it.
We're
Yeah,
happy.
that's-
We're
that's the
happy.
good
That's
news.
such
It
a
is the
good
good
thing.
news.
That's really big.
Yeah.
That they would close such a.
That's one of the things that the quarantine closed that is actually a good thing.
But don't worry, it's
Can
going to
you
reopen soon.
It's not even funny.
No, it's really not. It's
It's
really
gonna
not.
Yeah, it
reopen
is.
after
You
the
were
quarantine. It makes too much sense.
Ah.
Okay, are you guys ready to get spooped?
Spoop.
I don't think I am,
Sure.
but I also don't think you'll take
You
that
have
into,
any
into
choice.
consideration.
Yeah. Okay. So you better get ready
Mm.
because, again, 2 movies, and my movie is going to be. Drum roll, please.
Ooh.
Dun, dun,
That's not a drum roll.
Yeah, that wasn't a drum roll. What the heck was that?
No, because it's just
Bruh.
it's climactic.
I was running out of breath. What do you want?
Oh, okay. Sorry. Do that again.
just say it. Just say it.
Okay. The movie is Hostel.
Hold up. How
Do you
old
guys
are
know
you?
that movie? I'm 18,
Okay.
and I've seen that movie when I was like 12.
Ah,
Yeah.
there we go.
Okay.
No wonder he is like this, you guys.
Yeah. I am broken as a person.
He has a
What?
broken heart. He has a broken face.
Wow.
Oh,
So, again, Hostel. I know it's really weird that I was so young, but you'll get to know how and why I kind of love these movies so much.
Wait, when did it come
Okay.
out? Does anyone remember?
This came out 2004, but
So-
the first one came out in 2004.
Okay.
16 years ago.
That makes you like 2 years old. When
2
it came
years
out.
old. Yeah, but I didn't watch it when it came out. I just watched it.
Duh.
He
Imagine.
would have.
I
He
would be
wouldn't
like,
have survived.
Mom would be like, "Here, dear, learn from this."
This
So
is
yeah.
what happens if you don't go to sleep on time.
no.
Oh, first one
So-
came out 2005.
Oh, sorry, not 2004, 2005.
Mm-hmm.
My mistake. But yeah, 2005. Then I watched it a lot later. But yeah, so I'm gonna start off with the plot and just go over it kind of quickly. Have you guys seen the movie?
I have back in the day. Good times. Good times.
Back in my day.
Negative for me.
When
Oh,
he was
okay.
about 50
Cool.
years old.
Good, because I'm gonna give you like a really quick plot summary. So, Hostel came out in 2005, and it's a movie about these two American guys, Paxton and Josh, and they went on a Euro trip, and they're going around Europe, and they meet this guy named Ollie, and they kind of hit it off, and they went on the Euro trip together. They travel around, but when they got to Amsterdam to party and get turned up, someone randomly tells them that if you want to get more turned up, go to this hostel in Slovakia, because in this hostel, there are a lot of women and drugs and like party stuff and turn ups to get you turned up. Turnips. So they're like, whoa, we should do that. So they did. They went to Slovakia, and they're partying and everything. Hey. Get there, they're partying. They meet these girls, which are very important for the storyline. So, they meet two girls. Actually, yeah, they meet two girls. Then Oli meets another girl. They go away with, and they don't show whatever happens after the party. Then the next day, after that very vigorous night of partying, the two American guys, Paxton and Josh, are looking for Ollie. And they couldn't find him. He didn't leave any message. Like, it's so weird that he just left and vanished in the next day. It's so weird because while they were looking for him, a Japanese girl came up to them and said, "Hey, where's my friend? Where's my Japanese friend? Like And turns out both of them are missing because both of them were together last night. The night before, I mean. And suddenly a message comes to the friends' phones, the two of them, the American guys, is like, "I'm okay, I'm totally okay." And it's a picture of him and the Japanese girl. And later on, we get to know that they're not okay. Oh, wait. We see later on Oli's head.
What?
Just his head.
Just
Detached.
his head?
Just his head on a shelf. Because it's just his head.
Oh. Well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where,
And
where
that's
is
where-
this? Where is this shelf?
Yeah, I'm getting to that. And that's where we get to know that this hostel wasn't made just to be a hostel. It was made for what is called the Elite Hunting Club,
Mhm.
where it's an organization where rich people pay to torture, mutilate, and eventually kill foreigners
Bruh.
or tourists that
So
go to that
it's
hostel.
literally a hostel.
Uh-huh.
It's a hostel full of hostilities.
Oh my god.
Oh, I didn't get that for a bit.
Wow.
Okay. So it's a hostel.
Mhm.
So hostel. Then after that, both of them don't know what happened to Oli at this point. So they keep partying. They're like, "Hey, this is fun."
So this thing about
And-
the head on the shelf, that was just for the viewer, right?
Yeah,
To
for the
just
viewers.
see that
yeah.
there's something
There's something going on.
going on.
You know what I
Damn.
mean?
Oh, but
So-
they still haven't seen this.
They don't know anything. So they keep partying, these two guys with these ladies. Then these ladies drugged them.
Of course they did.
So they got drugged. One of the
Were
guys.
they trying to get drugged?
No, but not in this way. Not roofie.
The bad
Turned
drunk.
up, not
Okay.
roofie. You got
Yeah,
me? Okay.
sure.
So, one of the guys one of the guys was able to make his way to his bed and pass out there. The other guy wanted to use the bathroom, but he didn't know where he was going. Then he passed out in a pantry of some sort. Then the next day,
That never happened to me, by the way.
roofied.
No, the passing
Good
out in the
for
pantry
you.
part. Neither of these things. Just, Go on. I don't know why I said that.
Okay. So one of them vanished the next day, and the other guy was looking for him frantically the next day because he was like, "Where is he? Why did Oli vanish and now him? What's going on? This is
So
weird."
Who
So he's
went
like,
missing? Was it Paxton or?
it was Josh who was missing. Oh yeah, I think it's Josh who was missing. So Josh was
Ah.
missing. Paxton is looking for him really frantically, asking all these ladies and all these people in the hostel where he is.
Mhm.
Then, cut to, turns out Josh was kidnapped by someone that's a member of the elite hunting club. And
Wow.
they show him in this kind of really weird warehouse where there are rooms, there are many rooms where people could be chained down and sat down on a chair, and the member of the elite hunting club could do anything to them and then kill them.
Wow.
So Josh is seated there, his hands tied and his feet tied to the chair, and they have it's this whole sequence of this rich guy trying to torture Josh, and
So they showed the torture.
they show disclaimer. We're gonna be describing really in depth how this happens. So if you're
Oh, boy.
squeamish,
Wait, who's we? Just
imagine
you,
we're talking
right?
about food.
Yeah,
Huh?
just him.
Yeah, me. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna be explaining really vividly. So if you're squeamish, you listening right now, think about maybe food, because it sounds like
No.
No, don't do that.
No, that's the worst.
No.
thing
No,
to
think-
you can possibly do.
It's the worst.
no. I mean, think that he's doing it to food, not a human, because it.
Okay,
Okay, never mind. Never
What's wrong
mind.
with you?
And by
Is it
the
because you
way,
watched those
guys,
movies when
I know
you
it's
were like 2 years old.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I know it's probably too late by now, but spoiler alert.
Oh yeah. Spoiler alert. This is what happens in this 2005 film. Okay. So they're in this warehouse, right? And Josh is tied to the chair, and then
Yeah.
this rich guy. Turns out his dream when he was younger was to be a surgeon.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
And he starts off by drilling holes in his body.
Oh,
Just like
Anywhere
a surgeon,
he wants.
Just like a surgeon would do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like a surgeon, right?
It's more
He
like
would
a
drill holes
carpenter.
actually drill on
Yeah,
his body.
Yeah. To release the
And
pressure.
yeah, mind you, he was
Carpenter,
he was
actually.
just on his underwear. He was just in his underwear, so he would do anywhere. After he drills holes in Josh's body, he proceeds to slice his Achilles tendons.
Oh, and then he lets him go, right? And he tries to
Right?
and he tries
Yeah,
to
so he-
walk, and then he doesn't.
He
He can't
oh
because
my goodness.
you know.
Yep. Then he tried to stand up, and then they show you a close up of his his foot, his whole foot area, and you can see his Achilles tendon, and he just falls to the floor. He stands up, then you see the slice there, and then he falls to the ground.
Wow.
Then the guy was able
Oh
to
my
stand up
gosh.
and just eventually slit Josh's throat. So
So Josh
is dead. Then back to Paxton. So Paxton turned out to be the hero of the film, and he was able to look for that warehouse. So he was able to go to that warehouse and see what the heck's been going on. So what he did was he posed as one of these rich guys by wearing a suit there. And then he went to one of the rooms and then found what he was able to see was Josh's body, his mutilated, bloody body. He was able to see that while the surgeon guy, quote unquote, was standing over him. Then he proceeds to be able to escape. First, the people wanted to kill him, of course. Then he escapes. It's this whole chase sequence between this guy and Paxton. They reach the subway. Then the ending is Paxton kills that guy in a public toilet.
Oh, which guy? The
Oh,
surgeon
the
guy?
surgeon.
The surgeon guy. Yeah.
Okay.
And it ends, but then it doesn't end for the franchise because there's a sequel and a
Prequel?
third movie.
Okay, so there are
Three.
three movies.
So it's
all
a
in all.
trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the plot of the second film is I'm just kidding. No.
But essentially, that's what the whole idea
The
of
whole idea
Hostel
of Hostel and its franchise is that there's an elite hunting club and
Mhm.
people pay to torture tourists. Yeah.
And tourists who don't know anything, they're just kidnapped.
they're just there
and then
and
they
they
wake
get
up.
tortured.
and
To
then
be
they get
fair, some
tortured.
tourists are fairly annoying. I mean, what?
What?
Yeah,
Pretend
it's
you didn't-
totally a reason to torture and mutilate them, right? And
Oh.
kill them.
Sometimes, like, imagine you're working at a
Oh,
hotel.
my god.
What
Heiko.
is wrong with us?
Okay.
Uh,
So,
sorry, which one came
That
first,
is the
Saw
plot.
or Hostel?
Saw came out in 2004, Hostel 2005. But yeah, this is going to be how it's like connected to real life. So, you get the gist. You get the gist of the plot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that you should never travel to Eastern Europe.
Because you may get tortured
That's
and
pretty good
mutilated.
advice.
But the weird thing is, while doing my research and trying to see if it would relate to real life, is that Eli Roth, the director, he
Mhm.
actually based this movie, like how he made and thought about making this movie, was because of a real website where people can pay
Oh no!
like $10,000 and go to
What?
Thailand. Yeah, go to Thailand and go to a room with a person already in the room and just shoot them in the head.
What?
What?
Yep.
Wait.
This is
How
a
did
real
they-
website.
What?
So it's a website where you could kind of like sign up to go to Thailand.
Yeah, you pay $10,000,
Yeah.
go to Thailand, go to this room with a person in it and shoot him.
But not just shoot, right? Not like in the hospital.
Well, that's
where
what's said. But it's not like, oh, you're free to do whatever you want to this person. It's just like kill them. Kill them.
And what?
Yeah.
So these people, are they also kidnapped?
Okay. The thing is, it was described as this thing where these people who are in the rooms who are going to get killed, they're people who volunteer to be placed in those rooms because they're like, oh, this is going to... They're people who are really, really, really poor and want to support their family, that they have nothing to do in their life anymore, so they just go to that room.
What?
Yeah, just have themselves have themselves killed, and they expect the money to get to their family.
So they basically sign up and then
Does it?
put in their beneficiaries, and then the
money
money I
goes to
get
my
would
family.
be
To your
going
next of
Yeah, so
kin.
they're like,
yeah.
Fudge.
yep. But the thing is, we don't.
That is morbid.
It is so morbid. Like you can't. Like this is a real website that exists, but is it a real
Does
thing
it
that
actually?
happens? It's an actual website. I don't know if it's still up, but Eli Roth was speculating whether it was real or not, and he didn't go through with really investigating because in the site you have to give your like credit card information and personal information, and he was like, okay, I don't want to mess with that because something could happen. If it was real, it's even worse. So he just
Yeah.
didn't, and he just went on to the fact that it doesn't have to be real to be scary. It's scary that someone would think of this website to put it up, and think of that concept
True.
where someone could be in a room and you could just kill him, just pay to kill that
Yeah,
guy.
like
that
there's
person.
actually someone who would create that website, whether
Yeah.
it's real or not.
Yeah,
That means he's thinking about it. But yeah, there's a lot of sick stuff on the internet. So
Yeah.
it's not
And-
really surprising.
and there's still like even that's not real. We don't know if it's real or not. There's still a lot of speculation, and I mean, human trafficking exists. It happens.
Right.
Human trafficking is a real thing. But like the type of thing that's presented in Hostel, people are like speculating that and thinking that those actually exist today. That
Mhm.
people could, like super rich people could, do that and have an organization just to torture and kill people.
Yeah.
And we're wondering like why why? You know, why
Mhm.
would they do that? For what? And it could be like the surface level explanation could be like, oh, because they like it. They're psychopaths. That's what they like.
They're sick in the
They're sick in
head.
the insane in the
Insane in the
membrane.
membrane?
Insane,
Yeah.
yay! So yeah, um, but you could think about it like these super rich people already consume so much things to pleasure themselves, like drugs, let's say, or sex, or so much money. They spend so
Mhm.
much that like
Luxuries.
they don't feel happy, or the hormones don't work anymore when they do things like that. Like it doesn't give them joy anymore.
Yeah, it's
So
not
they're like,
satisfying anymore.
it's not satisfying. So they just go the next level
Ah,
for another
yes.
for a more intense pleasure, and
Mhm.
that's torturing and mutilating and killing people apparently.
Mhm.
The diminishing returns
Yeah.
of pleasure.
And imagine if that was the case, like if they needed that for more intense pleasure, what if they get bored of torturing and mutilating people? What would they do?
Serial killers, I guess. That's how.
Like just routinely do that?
That's
and
how
then-
they. I guess that's how they are made or developed, right? I mean,
yeah.
when you watch serial killer documentaries, they would always analyze these people as like kind of doing that to animals first when they were younger,
Mhm.
Yeah,
mutilating
and
and
slowly
killing
raising the
animals,
bar,
and then
right?
slowly, yes,
Yeah, to people.
yeah, and then
Gosh.
starts with 1, 2, and then suddenly every week they
Yeah.
have a victim.
But why? Why this movie? I know we touched on this a while ago. You were like,
But wait,
"Ho-
I have another question
Oh
though.
yeah, go ahead.
What do you guys think about? I mean, we are analyzing how these people, the rich people or those who are killing and mutilating people, what's on their mind. But how about those people who volunteer to be shot?
Oh yeah.
That's like another side of the spectrum, right?
Well, I mean,
their desperation.
yeah,
just
they're so desperate now. Like, they think that would be the answer to save their family and
Mhm.
give their family sustenance. You know.
Wow, that's an intense question. You gotta- I mean, sure, if I feel that my life does not bear any value for anything, or that I'm determined to spend the rest of my life in poverty and possibly even drag my family down with me,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I can see how in this twisted, in such a twisted way of thinking, this option might even make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. Ooh, heavy.
And getting shot in the head, if that's like a part of the contract, just getting shot and be done with it, that might even be the easiest way to go out compared to like
Yeah.
years of poverty, malnutrition, and just slowly dying on the streets.
Mm.
True.
Ooh.
So yes,
Damn.
yeah, you asked.
I'm going Heiko here. Damn. Okay. So, why? Moving on from that, let's talk about why I chose this movie and why I like it so much and why I like movies like this so much.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's true. You talked about me being so young to watch this movie, but because it became okay. Backstory: I was about 5 or 6. Was I 5 or 6?
Kind
5 or
of.
6 when we were in our living room, and then we were watching this movie called Cube. The Cube. Do you guys know
Cube.
that? Do you guys know that?
No. I don't
Okay,
know
wait.
yet.
The Cube. Okay, briefly, it's almost like Saw. It's like the inspiration of Saw. I'm not sure if it was, but it's so similar. Where these people go through different rooms in this really weird place, and each room someone dies in a really weird way.
And a
And one
gourmet.
of in a really gory way. And one of the deaths was a guy was standing in the middle of the room, and on top of him was this like screen
Wire
mesh,
mesh.
yeah, where it's like 2 by 2 inch holes, you know,
Mhm.
Squares,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it just fell on him. Like it was really sharp, and it fell on him, and it sliced him into cubes, literally.
Into cubes.
Yeah, so it was like it fell on him like that, like clockwise, I think, or from the back or
Wait,
diagonally.
wouldn't that slice him into noodles?
I guess so.
Prisms.
Oh yeah,
actually.
yeah, kind of. But you would see like when it sliced him through, like the marks of the blood, and then he would slowly
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
fall,
I
unravel.
remember that.
And
But
I
Because
do.
he said we should think of food.
Yeah, I remember that really vividly because when I watched that specific moment, because that was the first death that we saw, and then I like screamed. No, no, no.
Yeah, you
Our
did.
aunt, yeah, our aunt screamed. Then I screamed. Then that image, I
you
was just
scream, I
And we all
scream.
scream for
then I was just
Yeah.
looking at the.
Cantono.
Sorry.
Then I just looked at the TV screen and I was just there, and then tears started falling, and I was breathing so heavily. Then that was like the first moment I was so terrified. I was traumatized by like that.
Yeah, and
Then-
and guys, before you judge the adults in our life, they really didn't also know
Yeah,
that
they
it would
didn't
turn
know what
out
they
to
were
be
watching
like that.
because they just opened the TV. Then they were
Yeah,
like,
and
"Oh,
then,
this is
"Oh,
weird. It's
okay,
like an
this is-
adventure
yeah.
thing." Then the guy died. Then she screamed, and I screamed that I was
what
traumatized.
time of the day was that?
It was like
evening, I
7
think.
p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird over here. They show those movies any time of the day. Then
Saudi Arabia.
for about like a week or more, even like 5 days or more than that. After that, I was just sleeping in my parents' bedroom, and I wouldn't leave the bed. I would not leave the bed. I wouldn't leave the bed to go pee. Even I wouldn't want to. I would just be forced to. Then I would always like if I think about it or just a bit, I would cry, like ask for mommy. And then they got fed up, of course. Why wouldn't they? And our dad, he was like, "Okay, we have to do something." So he got this really large candle, and he tried to explain to me that, "Look, that's not real. What you watched wasn't real. This is how they did it. It's like some sort of wax that they made it into a shape of a person." And then he took like a thread, I guess, or like a really
Yeah.
like a thin
Like a string or
like a string,
something.
and then he went down in the candle, and then it sliced really easily. And I was like,
Boom.
"Oh." I was still scared, but then there was this explanation. Then flash forward a bit later.
You're kind of like getting more engrossed by then, right after that.
Right
the
after that, I was
explanation.
like, "Oh my god, that's actually cool."
Yeah.
Like I started getting less scared and more intrigued.
Although I still remember that whenever he would always ask us to watch horror movies, so
yeah,
we would be like,
horror, not gore.
yeah. But then
Gore
he
is
would
fine.
he would always just hold on.
Yeah, I'm
To
really
me.
bad
You
with horror
behind it.
movies, like if it's ghosts
like-
and paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
But that was the time, yes. But and gore was after Dad explained that, I was like, "What the heck?" Okay. Then flash forward, maybe I was like 10, 11, or 12 when I got like a laptop that I was able to use. And then I watched Saw because it was circulating around YouTube. And then I was able to watch Saw, and I was like, "Whoa, this is so cool!" And then I'm thinking of the ways they could have done that because of how Dad explained it to me.
Right.
Then I was watching
Yeah.
behind the scenes. Then that Saw was the movie. I mean, the Saw franchise were the movies that made me obsessed with special effects and
Even movie production, film production.
yeah, practical effects and movie production and gore and how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
That after that, I would just do like on my own, like
Right.
gore makeup and
Yeah.
SFX makeup, and I actually got good at it, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
still very interested in that field
Mm-hmm.
until now. Then it moved on into like filmmaking and production and behind the camera. But yeah,
So you would
so
say
making
that
yeah.
your passion for these gory things started from a human noodle.
Yeah, started from me
A
getting
raw
traumatized. Like
man, if you would
it
say.
actually, I think it actually became like a coping thing for me. That hey, this is not real. I can make it. And,
Right.
like that's how it is now. Like I'm not scared of it at all, and I feel that's how like my brain made me cope with it. It's
Mm-hmm.
really
You're-
But that's a
cool.
great approach,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Instead of just trying to prevent your kid from watching something like
Right.
that,
Mm-hmm.
Tell
and
him what's
instead
behind it.
explaining to them
Yeah.
how it works and
Explaining,
like relieving
yeah.
it or just stripping it of its magic or intimidating
Mhm.
factor. I
Yeah.
really like
And
that.
and even if they did kind of strip it of its magic, like remove and show me what goes on, I feel like that it made it more magical for me
Right.
afterwards.
Because
like the art
imagine
of it, you
that
know,
from these things, from these mundane things,
you can
could
make art like that, and
Yeah.
it's so cool. And until now, I'm so obsessed with it. Okay, so yeah, that's it. now I'm so also obsessed with since I moved on from only gore to also filmmaking and writing, and I'm also so obsessed with those psychological thrillers and
Yes. For
which is a
anyone
good
I-
like those mind f movies. They're
right.
so good. And yeah, and that's a good transition.
So
It's
yeah,
a good
I'm-
transition
yeah.
because
for anyone who knows me, they would really know how I love psychological
Mhm.
thrillers. The more mind bending, mind twisting the movie is,
the better.
the better.
Like you would have faces, but what would always stick is that you would anytime would want to watch
Yeah.
psychological thrillers.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Be it documentaries
Or
or
movie.
movies or series like that. So yeah, speaking of psychological thrillers,
Mm-hmm.
we are going to talk about my movie.
Oh, you made a movie?
I
No
mean,
way.
the movie that I selected
Oh my god,
for
I
this,
did not see that coming.
for this episode. That movie is Split. You guys.
Oh no, drum roll. That was so.
No. Oh yeah, I was.
I
trying
just
to
wait
wait
for-
well,
for-
I
wait for my
remembered. I
moment.
remember how much time we spent on
On the drum roll.
drum roll. So
Okay. Split.
yeah, my
hey.
movie is Split, people.
Love that for you.
Oh,
So it's
I'm quite
directed.
torn about this movie.
Sorry,
I said I'm quite torn about this movie.
you're quite
You
torn.
would say you're
Yeah.
Get it torn because
Split is directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Did I say the name right?
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan. I
Shyamalan.
always mess his name up.
Shamalama ding dong.
yeah, can we make this a
Shyamalan.
thing where you try to where every time you try to pronounce it you pronounce it wrong like deliberately?
Okay, let's do that.
So anyway, yeah, it's directed by M. Night Shyamalan and produced by himself and Blumhouse Productions. Blumhouse.
Oh, Bloomhouse.
Love them.
Yeah.
Blum.
So the plot, I kind of spent a little bit time on the plot. I will be spending a little bit time on the plot and more on the real life aspect connection of it. So yeah, plot. Spoiler alert again. So Kevin Crumb, played by James McAvoy, is a man with 23 different personalities. He abducts and keeps 3 teenage girls in his basement for unknown reasons. That's
Wait, 23
yes, different personalities. In his
ranging from
uh
because I haven't watched that movie. You need to help
Oh,
me.
you
here.
haven't? Okay, because you
I
didn't
have
ask
not.
them if they have or not.
oh,
Liza.
sorry. I
Oh,
just
you
thought,
should have.
yeah, have you guys watched it?
No.
No, I haven't.
I think Hamad did. Have you, Hamad?
No.
No? Okay, well, so all right, and then I'll make my plot even clearer for you guys. So Kevin
Oh,
Crumb
cool.
again, James McAvoy, is a man with 23 different personalities. So
23.
yeah, so the
That's more
ones
than the
that
herbs
are
and
quite
spices in a KFC.
the one that are quite obvious, or the ones that are really depicted in the movie is one where like there's a kid of about 6 years old, and then the other one is like a skater boy type of guy, and then the other one is
Was
a
a skater girl.
prim proper
Sincerely.
principal
Good
like
enough for her. Just kidding.
guy. No, woman, I mean. The woman. You are confusing me.
I'm sorry because you said skater boy, then I was like skater girl.
She said, "See you later, boy."
Okay, I'll give you this moment.
No, it's fine.
Are
It's
you
done.
done?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Yes,
So again, 6-year-old, or just a little boy, let's say, not really specific. to the
Little
age.
girl.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
so sorry. Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm so-
And then the other one is again like a skater boy. Go for it. Say
no,
it.
no, continue.
And then third is just a well, he is normal. He's basically the
Normal
one
boy?
who abducted the 3
Normal
girls.
girl?
So a man, like I don't know how I would explain his personality, but he's the one who abducted the 3 girls.
So
the
like,
two
No, he's like
teenage
really
girls. The more
weird. He's like a
deceptive
prim and
one.
proper, clean guy.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
weird.
Weird and like really clean. He's a germaphobe, right? That one.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Right. And then next would be the prim and proper as well, principal like woman.
Lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those
Ooh,
are just
lady.
some of these personalities that were depicted in the movie. But there are 23 different personalities in this character. So, of course, the girls try to escape. Oh, yeah, but sorry. As the movie goes on, we meet Kevin's different personalities as well as his therapist. So we do know that he's talking to a therapist named Dr. Fletcher, played by Betty Buckley. And of course, the girls try to escape. Casey, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, same person from Morgan. I also like
I
that
was
movie.
thinking nice that.
Who's kind of like this odd introvert but observant. She was the one who kind of like turned to be the leader of the group, and she is the one who is more successful in escaping. So yeah, they find ways to escape while Kevin's 24th personality slowly unleashes, which will later be revealed as the Beast. So this 24th
Oh
century,
my god,
this
ominous.
24th century. I was about to say for 20th century. I don't know where that came from. Okay, so Kevin's 24th personality slowly unleashes, which will later be revealed as the Beast. And this Beast personality can climb on walls, has super strength, and is a supernatural.
And is really
being.
scary. If you
And
see
is really
James's
scary.
face, by the way, James,
Did a really good job.
really good.
Yeah, in depicting
Wait, does that
all these
mean that when he assumes this role, he can also climb on walls and be super
Uh-huh.
strong and all that?
Yep.
Yeah.
If
So
he
basically
is
the Beast from X-Men. Which makes sense because he played Professor
He,
X.
yeah.
Ooh, links conspiracies.
Oh my god.
So yeah, well, in the two girls with Casey eventually die,
Oh no. Rip.
but Casey
Well,
and
you
the
said spoiler warning, so good.
but Casey and the Beast have this chase scene towards the end.
Casey's like the Paxton of
Yeah.
Split.
Yeah, but the Beast well towards the end when Casey is just about to escape, she was kind of held in a cage thingy, so she couldn't escape at that moment. And the Beast was about to attack her when he sees faded scars in her arms, and then he realizes that Casey is actually pure and more evolved due to her being broken, and he spares her. After that,
Wasn't that the scene where he like,
he was
bends?
trying to bend the cage to get to Casey, but
And
then he
he-
sees the scars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and then
remember.
spares her eventually.
So it's not just a psychological thriller; it's like a supernatural thriller, right?
Yeah.
Because I can't get over the fact that
Oh,
He can climb on walls and stuff.
Yes.
gets those.
So they
Yes.
put that
Isn't
aspect
isn't
after
this
like
because it's
Wait,
part of
wait,
the
No,
I'll
no,
get
no,
there.
no, no, no.
Shh, I'll get to that.
Are you
Okay.
talking about the Christmas movie Die Hard? The person who starred in that film?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
Casey is rescued and learns
Gotcha.
that she was being held at the Philadelphia Zoo. That's where this
Wait,
Kevin guy
what?
took her, and Kevin was actually working there in the Philadelphia Zoo. And yeah, she was rescued, and then of course the Beast was not caught, and they were all searching for him. And then the last scene of this movie was in a diner, where they were reporting that this certain guy has different personalities, and they're calling him the Horde. His nickname is the Horde. A waitress notes the similarity to a criminal in a wheelchair who was incarcerated 15 years earlier, and he also received a nickname. And that's where we learn that the man sitting next to her, called David Dunn, says it was actually Mr. Glass. So that's where we learn that it's from
It's in the same universe.
of
as
Unbreakable
Yup.
with Bruce Willis.
with Bruce
Yeah.
Willis.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis,
Samuel
who starred in
Jackson.
the Christmas
Samuel
movie Die Hard.
Jackson. Yes. So yeah,
Who
I'm
also
sorry that was a
starred in a
very
Christmas
quick
movie, Die Hard
explanation of the
2.
plot, but sorry?
No, was it Die Hard 2? No. What was that movie? Never mind.
Why does
Go on.
everyone call it Christmas movie?
Die Hard
Because
is a
it's a
Christmas
Christmas
movie,
movie.
bro.
I feel like I'm being left out here. Is there some?
Have you
inside
you've seen
joke
Die
there?
Hard, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes place during Christmas.
Yeah. It's a Christmas movie.
Is it advertised as a Christmas movie? No.
Well, in the trailers, it's Christmas.
Oh.
Because I thought when you referred to Die Hard as the Die Hard Christmas movie, that it would be that there was some remake maybe or some TV special where everything takes place on Christmas.
No, we're just talking about the original Die Hard.
Yeah.
This time, McClane kills Santa Claus.
Okay, let's
Why not?
proceed, guys. Let's proceed. So, yeah. Again, I'm sorry if the way that I said the plot was really short and kind of like hurried, but because I didn't want to focus on the plot, I mean, go ahead and watch it. It's a good movie, and James McAvoy really did a great job. But let's proceed on to talking about the connection to real life. So, as you know, well, maybe more Yasin, as Yasin knows, I have been quite engrossed with a certain YouTube channel called Dissociated. That's Dissocia, DID. I watched Anthony Padilla's video entitled "I Spent a Day with Multiple Personalities," and then I got sucked into it. So, if you guys haven't watched that, that's also a good kind of informative video, and he has a lot of other informative videos about different communities.
Types of people, yeah.
Yeah. So
Wait,
it
what's
was
the channel? What's the name of the channel again?
Anthony
Anthony
Padilla.
Padilla.
Anthony Padilla is previously one of the
Original members of Smosh.
Smosh. And now he has his own
Oh.
channel, and he's doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Okay,
it was so
big shout out.
interesting knowing what DID is and how misunderstood people with DID are, and how the movie Split depicts them in a very negative way. So even if I did use Split as kind of like an introduction to DID, I am in no way saying that
It's
that's
accurate.
how DID should be looked at, and that's how people with DID should be depicted. It's
What
actually
DID
in a very
stands
negative way.
For
I'm getting there.
DID stands, of course, for.
Yeah.
Oh, you're getting there because
Yeah.
I just wanted to say it myself, but
Oh yeah,
Oh,
go
go ahead.
ahead, say it.
no. My guess is dissociative identity disorder.
Yes. And
Ding,
we will
ding,
be
ding, ding.
talk about that. We'll talk about that more in a few. Disclaimer, I am in no way an expert of this disorder, nor am I a psychiatrist. None of us are. So the information I am about to say are ones that I got mostly on articles about this disorder, and also YouTube channels like Dissociated and Multiplicity in Me.
And these channels are to raise awareness. They're just exactly for that.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. They
Am I getting this right?
yeah, these are the hosts of these channels are people with DID, and their aim is to break the barriers between other communities and knowledge about DID.
Yeah, and to show that they're people too.
Wow.
Right.
Because for so long they've been judged as
Mm-hmm.
not people.
Yeah,
Weird.
or
Yeah,
sick,
sure.
or sick in a negative way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Or
Or
as
possessed.
like belonging behind bars and in a psychiatric ward with no access to daylight or fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or worse, maybe they have the beast as well.
They get exercised.
Ooh.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. That's why I chose this. So, ready to know more about DID
This time, I'd say yes.
this time?
Yeah, because earlier when we were talking about Hostel,
You weren't ready
Oh.
for
Hostile
that?
environment. Yeah.
yes, I would, yeah.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Okay, so DID was previously known as multiple personality disorder. So I think we're more familiar with that term. I myself was more familiar of the term multiple personality disorder, but it was changed into DID or dissociative identity disorder because that's more accurate as what the experts say. So what makes people with DID unique is that they have what you call alters, which are fragmented parts of their consciousness. These alters are formed before a child's mind fully develops. So be patient with me
What?
as I try to explain it. So how do
Before
these
it-
Yeah, before a child's mind fully develops. So as children, of course, we develop different kinds of personalities, right? And traits and experiences. So we learn from these things. So those characteristics and things we learn integrate into our personality. So if we experience, like you said, you were scared of the cube before, and then suddenly it kind of like merged into your personality of loving SFX makeup.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the same thing. So we have characteristics, we have separate characteristics, we have our own likes and dislikes, we have our own idea of the world and what we think about the world, right? And according to studies, the process of this integration of our different experiences and personalities, where this whole personality, one personality is developed, happens when a child is between 7 and 9 years old. So that's when our personality kind of integrates. So DID, however, is formed when there is repeated trauma, and in many cases it's abuse, dissociation, and lack of primary caregiver, like guardians or parents, to act as role model or support for their child. If these repeated trauma happen before the mind is fully developed, before 7 or 9 years old, DID is formed. So when a child undergoes a huge traumatic experience, the mind goes into an automatic filter, some sort of memory loss. So it forms barriers because the child is super young to deal with it. So if anything happens that is so difficult for a child to cope with, our mind raises barriers, and the effect would be memory loss or sometimes amnesia.
Yeah, repression.
Yeah, the memories get repressed. That's where the roles of the alters take place. So these alters have their own name, characteristics, background, and even past experiences.
Wait. Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
So like,
information overload. So go ask your questions.
yeah, but like, so, since children, or we as children are too young to be able to like cope and handle that, like those traumatic experiences, correct me, the brain will create a barrier and then store that information somewhere else, like make it, like the host will forget about it.
Yes.
And then where it's stored will become another personality.
Yeah, it could be. So, for example, I have this very traumatic experience, and my brain creates a barrier, and like you said, it will store in a different realm, different part of the brain.
And if it gets too much,
to cope with it, our brain creates alters. So these alters have their own name, characteristics, background, and even past experiences. These past experiences being the traumatic experiences. They have their memories. Some alters are there to protect the host from remembering the trauma. So they, again, like I said, have those traumatic experiences instead. So let's say as a child grows into an adolescent, or an adult, when there is another traumatic experience that is kind of like the same as what that child has been through when he was younger, or when she was younger, or when they were younger, the alter appears, so that the alter protects the child or that person. Yeah. So the alter was like, okay, I'll experience this for you.
Yeah.
So the alter would be protecting that person and say, okay, I'll experience this for you, so that because again, that host or that person cannot deal with it, can't deal with it.
Dang. Yeah? Wait, he has a question.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So what happens if the alters are not, in front? Do they just stay dormant, or do they actually converse inside of the host's head or something like that?
That's very interesting. It depends on the person, because there are people where they have... So dissociated and multiplicity in me are two examples of people with DID, and they have what you call an inner world inside their heads. And then in their inner world, it could be just, let's say, a house, that's for dissociated, and for multiplicity and me, she has a whole world in her mind. So this inner world is where all the alters live when they are not in front, meaning if they are not controlling the body or in the host. You know what I mean? So they have their lives in the inner world. They also talk in the inner world. They live in the inner world. And
Gosh.
and the best explanation is kind of like, imagine being in a car. The driver would be the one controlling the car, the host, and the others would just be in the back seat. But sometimes they're also what you call co-consciousness, when there is a person in the passenger seat right beside the driver, kind of like helping the
co-pilot.
driver. Yeah, a
Coaching.
co-pilot
Yeah.
in the car. So yeah, they have that inner world where they stay when they're not fronting,
Wow.
is what you call it. So much like what you've seen in the movie Split, this is what happens. There are different personalities. However, unlike Split, there's no beast. Okay? Or supernatural strength and like animalistic
Your
physical
alter's
features that come with it.
capabilities are limited by your own body's capabilities. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you don't become a
Questionable.
badass demon.
Questionable.
That's questionable because sometimes,
So
let's
you're
say,
saying that there's possibility of there being a beast.
no, it's not a possibility that there's a beast or a supernatural being like that. But let's
Okay.
scale it down a notch. It would be like, let's say this altar needs glasses while the other altars don't.
What?
Or one of them is better with numbers as the other one.
Yes.
Which
Or
makes sense because one of them is a 6-year-old girl and the other one is a 48-year-old astronaut.
because altars range from little kids, to what they call eternal altars that do not age.
Wait, I don't get the glasses thing. How is that possible?
I don't
So
know.
you- Your eyes
I-
just suddenly.
Yeah, and sometimes there are altars that are anemic and the other one is not, and the other's not. And
Wow.
if you would listen or you would watch different people with DID, you could also see how their personality really change when in 1 second they're speaking full British accent and the other they have a full American accent, and just
Yeah.
it's horrible that in the movie they depicted as this person to be an attacker, when in fact people with psychological disorders tend to be more of the victim than the bad guy. And that's according to statistics.
Yeah.
Because of course they've already experienced too much trauma, that when something bad happens, they tend to be more suppressed rather than be the attacker. So yeah, it's rarely ever the case that people with DID are the ones attacking other people. And if you are wondering about altars, if there are supernatural altars, yes, there are. There could be altars that are ghosts or supernatural, but not in that intense way as how Split depicted it with the beast. I also picked this topic specifically because of how taboo it still is to talk about, to discuss. Though we're slowly unraveling that curtain, there's still so much to do.
Yeah,
Like in
wait,
countries
can
like
I-
Philippines or Saudi Arabia, I
Really?
haven't even heard anyone talk about it.
We can get into it, but it's not like I don't think we should.
Mm-hmm.
But like mental health is very, very not looked at in the Philippines.
Yeah, although
not-
now we're
starting to get
changing.
better.
It
though.
is, yeah, but
It's starting
you
to get
know,
better. It is starting to get better. But yeah, can I just also say that DID is not easy to be diagnosed. It's not easy. So just when, let's say people are feeling confused or having memory loss or maybe amnesia, does not mean that they have DID. Okay, it takes years before it is diagnosed, and it takes years to say that a person has DID. And when they do, they really go through psychotherapy or therapy.
So by therapy, you'd say that's the way you could treat
Well,
it or cure
right
it
now
even.
there is no quote unquote cure found for DID, but it is treatable. So there's a long-term treatment that can be helpful. So the aim would be to integrate the personalities into one, right? For that certain host personality to be able to grasp all the memories that were suppressed in all the alters. So that's the aim. So there could be psychotherapy or talk therapy, and then hypnotherapy. So clinical hypnosis that can be used to help access repressed memories, and then also control some of the problematic behaviors. And then third one called adjunctive therapy. So therapies such as art or movement therapy that have been shown to help people connect with parts of their mind that they have shut off to cope with trauma. So there are treatments like that that could eventually help the personalities or the alters rather to integrate. So, yeah, well, I already said the reason why I chose it. I specifically did because I want to debunk the ideas that split is where you have to look when understanding the ID. It was really sad when there was an interview of James McAvoy saying that it was super hard for him to look for a reference when he got this role. Like, how would he act as a person with DID? At that time, he did not see a lot of videos or references to kind of like learn from. So yeah.
Like, is that really how it was? Like, he didn't care to even do a little bit of research?
No, he did. He did care, but there weren't a lot. That was his point. There weren't a lot of references to kind of...
Oh, yeah. Because there really weren't.
Yeah.
People wouldn't want to, like, go out and to speak about themselves.
Yeah.
But now it's so cool that people are
now.
making YouTube channels.
Right.
YouTube channels, I mean.
Yeah, and it's just so brave for them to do that, because imagine being in the spotlight. We talked about cancel culture, right? So people would really attack them and try to just ruin them, and for them to be able to just sit there or like discuss what they're going through and debunk the myths about their condition or their community is brave.
Absolutely, yeah.
And yeah, that is my movie.
Yay! Those are claps.
Okay, guys, what's our takeaway for the day then?
You go ahead.
Okay, our takeaway is... Oh, let's do
Can
that
we
again.
please stop with the drum rolls?
What? Chipotle! So we
Yay!
got, you know,
Flavor.
burritos, burrito
ice
bowls.
cream.
We got the tortilla chips. We got the
Well,
guac.
it's only in the US they have Chipotle. But let's make it general. Let's have burritos,
Okay,
guac.
Mexican.
Yeah. Burritos, chips,
Guac. And sweet tea. Oh, that Chipotle sweet
Guac.
tea.
Guac.
Guac.
guacamole. Okay, so as we've heard from our episode today, just like the burrito, we've presented you with a big chunk of information. Something very
Yes, you did.
chunky. I don't know.
I like them
yes, but
big.
yeah, like
I like them
if
chunky.
you've experienced eating in Chipotle, they don't hold back giving you that stuff inside your burrito. So just like the information, sometimes it gets super. What
Chunky?
would the word be like?
It overloads.
Overload. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Sometimes you'd get an overload of
and
information.
what would help you to ingest and eat that Dorito, and eat that burrito is the side dishes
Dorito?
and the drinks.
Yeah,
So-
when your face is stuffed with food, stuff it more.
With liquid, so it could go down easily. So
Why
yeah.
does it? Why does it feel like it sounds disgusting?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
I mean, after Hostel, no. So, yeah. So if you're given that overload of information and you can't like ingest and digest it, you're gonna need some side dishes and to help you get that down and not be like sick of that taste
Mm-hmm.
only. So we got like chips and guac, where chips and guac is really good because it's like you almost can't have one without the other. You can eat them, but it's much better as a pair. And it's like, for me, I see it as like balance, where if you have chips, where your chips are, let's say, watching these horror films and being sucked into this fictional world, you have to dip it into reality still.
Yeah.
And make sure that you take a bite, and make
Oh
sure
my
that
God.
you're not only looking at it as
Okay.
this
Okay,
fictional
that
thing
makes
and
sense.
taking that into the real world. You also have to think about the aspects of it that make it real, so it wouldn't
Mhm.
be, so you wouldn't be misinformed.
Yeah.
So dip into reality.
Especially when you have chips that are just made of like synthetic stuff,
And fried
sawdust
butter.
and all that, and
Yeah.
and flavors and fried butter, and yeah, you should dip it in something natural,
Uh-huh.
organic.
And just to
Something
give you
real.
also a
Yeah.
splash of
Coolness.
get a drink.
Some sweet tea, yeah, because probably after watching and hearing all those information and watching them scary movies, you're gonna need to cool down, right?
Yeah, and you'll also have to look for something positive in the light of all the negative. So yeah, I guess help yourself and enjoy, but again, do not forget to dip into reality and look into positivity.
And cool down after.
And that's it for today's podcast. Please follow our Instagram accounts at Hanaji Puri for my dear older sister, at Potetogami for yours truly, where I promise I will be passing some art soon, at Heiko Heilig, where you are bound to find the precious
Screen that
words.
says
No
no posts yet.
Indeed. And finally,
I have
finally, at
stories.
Yaspuri, don't forget to check his YouTube, Spotify, and other accounts, which are also linked on his Instagram.
Yes, music
That's-
coming soon, like really soon. It's
Really?
like coming, yeah.
Really?
Some
Yeah.
super hot
Really?
fire. Anyway, that's it for today's episode. Tune in next week to find out which takeaways we four weirdos have picked to talk about next. Hopefully that completes your order. Thanks for listening to the
Four
Four
Takeaway
Takeaway
Podcast.
Whoop,
Gra-
whoop.
gra-
Brah.
Brrrah.
Would you like that for dining?
Or for takeaway.
For takeaway.
Orders up.
Would you like that for dining?
Or for takeaway.
For takeaway.